Amazon PPC can seem like this big scary beast that you don't want to mess up, but honestly it's relatively simple once you learn the basics. In this video I'm going to break down everything about PPC in simple, easy to understand terms. I'm going to go through some of the most commonly asked questions like what budget should you have, how much should you bid, and is it okay to start crying if your ACOS is 500%. I'm basically going to go through all of the major parts of PPC and give you some general tips also to help you out. Now, if you check in the timeline below, you'll see that I've added each question and topic into its own chapter, so you can easily skip through if I start waffling on about something that you're not particularly interested in. Also, you should really stick around to the end because I'm going to give you details on how you can win a free 30-minute consultation call with myself and Tom, so do not miss the end of the video. If you're new to the channel, my name is Alex, and we're currently growing an FBA brand that's doing over $140,000 a month in revenue, and you can see here some of our recent PPC results. I've been doing PPC for over 2 years now, and I've built up a decent bit of knowledge over this time that I wanted to share in this video. So PPC stands for pay per click, and that's because you literally, you pay per click. You pay a set amount to Amazon each time a customer clicks on one of your ads. So you can see here at the top of the search results page, we have these products that say sponsored underneath them. So these are advertising spots that sellers like myself are paying Amazon for. So the other types of results that you'll see that don't say sponsored, they're products that appear there organically or pretty much for free without having to pay. Ideally, you want to appear high up organically for as many keywords as possible so that you don't always have to rely on PPC to make a sale. Now, before I get into all the different FAQs and topics related to PPC, I want to make one point that I think is really important. So this point is that Amazon PPC, it's not magic. It won't make up for a really bad listing or a poor product. There are definitely strategies and tactics for PPC that can really help you out, but you really need to understand that if your listing is poor and your product is pretty crap, no amount of PPC tweaking is going to save you. So before you do anything with PPC, make sure that your listing is absolutely on point. All right, so let's start with one of the most common phrases that you'll hear with Amazon PPC, and that is ACOS. So ACOS stands for Advertising Cost of Sale. In very simple terms, it means how much did you spend on PPC to get a sale. So as an example, if your product costs $20 and you spend $2 to get one sale, your ACOS is 10%. It's your PPC spend divided by your sales revenue. It's a pretty simple way to work out how profitable your PPC campaigns are, and it's something that you'll be using a lot as you get into the world of Amazon FBA. So a lot of people will ask, what is a good ACOS? And the answer to that is it really depends. It depends on what the profit margin is on your product. So if your margin is 30%, then generally you want to aim for around a 30% ACOS, as that means you're breaking even on each sale. So getting your PPC to the point where it's actually profitable in itself is honestly pretty tough. It's not impossible, but it's tough. So the main aim really of PPC is to help drive sales velocity, which helps drive organic rank, which is something that I'm going to go into a little bit later in the video. Right, so very closely related to ACOS is TACOS or tacos. Now, I'm not talking about those little delicious Mexican things. Tacos is something that, in my opinion, is even more important than ACOS. Tacos stands for Total Advertising Cost of Sale because it doesn't only look at the sales generated through your PPC, it also takes into account your organic sales. So for example, if we do $10,000 in sales revenue, $4,000 of that was through PPC, where we spent $2,000 in total. That means we did $6,000 in organic sales revenue. So to work out our TACOS, we look at how much we spent in PPC, so $2,000, versus our total revenue, which was $10,000. So in this example, our TACOS was 20%, which is $2,000 as a percentage of $10,000. So looking at TACOS is really important because it gives us a sense of how profitable we are with our overall sales revenue. If you're only looking at ACOS and you're not taking into account your organic sales, then you're missing a huge part of the puzzle. In general nowadays, we try and aim for an overall TACOS of about 10 to 12%, and honestly it's the metric that we follow most closely as it gives you a better overall view of the sales, the revenue, and the profitability of your business. All right, so one of the most confusing things when you start Amazon PPC is the different types of campaigns and match types. So I'm going to break them all down in very simple terms. So let's start with auto campaigns versus manual campaigns. So auto campaigns are literally campaigns that you set up with no keywords. You add a target product, your product, you give it a budget, and then you let it run. Amazon will use any existing data that it has about your product, such as the keywords on your page, any sales history that it might already have, and then the categories that your product is in, to show the product where it thinks it's going to be most relevant. Now, beginners often rely on auto campaigns for launching products, but our strategy is to only use auto campaigns 3 or 4 weeks into a product launch once Amazon has enough data to work with. Again, I'll go into that a little bit more in detail later on in the video. Right, so the alternative to an auto campaign is a manual campaign. So this basically means that you tell Amazon exactly which keywords you want to bid on, and you control where your product is shown. So when you're creating a manual campaign, you'll see 2 options: keyword targeting and product targeting. So keyword targeting is basically just telling Amazon to make your ads appear for specific keywords. Product targeting, it shows your ads on the listings of other products. So you should set up and use both of these campaign types, as they're both great in their own rights. But you should base everything on your keyword research and also on your competitor research. So you should have a list of relevant keywords and also a list of relevant products. All right, so manual PPC campaigns, they fall into 3 categories known as match types. So the first match type is exact match. Now what this means is that if you tell Amazon you want to bid on the keyword red socks and you set the match type to exact, it will only bid on that exact keyword. Now the second match type is known as phrase match. And what this means is that Amazon takes the core keyword that you give to it, so in this case red socks, and it will bid on phrases that contain that keyword but also have other words before and after it. So for example, if we bid on red socks in phrase, it will also bid and appear on red socks for men. So the last match type is broad match, where Amazon will make you appear on search terms that are related to your root keyword but in any order, and also with other phrases mixed in. So with our red socks example, Amazon would also show us for keywords like socks for women or even blue socks for kids. So that's a high level view of all the different match types, right? So you're probably thinking, when should I use each one? Well, what we generally recommend is that during a product launch, you stick to using just exact match keywords. Now, the idea behind this is that you want to do very in-depth keyword research, and you want to identify the most relevant keywords for your product. Then you want to just bid on these keywords and only drive sales through this set of keywords to tell Amazon that you're hyper relevant for them and that they should rank you as highly as possible organically. So as you move into the third or fourth week of your product launch, you can start creating campaigns with phrase and broad match, and then even start some auto campaigns. Just be really careful when you're using broad match, as it can easily burn through a lot of money on keywords that aren't really super relevant, but it can also be great for discovering keywords that you can then move into your phrase and your exact campaigns. All right, so let's talk about campaign types. So basically you have 3 main types of campaigns: sponsored products, sponsored brand, and sponsored display. Sponsored product campaigns are the ads that you see appearing at the top of the page. They're just regular ads. Sponsored brand ads, they come in a couple of different formats. So you'll notice when you search a keyword, sometimes at the top, there will be this banner with a company logo and a few different products. So if you click it, it will usually take you to that company's storefront. So this is known as a sponsored brand banner or a headline ad. These can also appear a little bit further down the search results page, but also on an actual product listing page itself. So another type of sponsored brand ad are video ads. Now, these are really powerful because they give you an opportunity to stand out and be really creative in trying to catch your customers' attention. So just remember that you can only run brand ads if you've gone through Amazon's brand registry and you're like officially a registered brand. But it's definitely worth doing just for the video and brand ads alone. So the last campaign type is sponsored display ads. So these appear on product listings underneath the buy box, on the search results page, and also actually on external websites that customers are browsing throughout the internet. So you may have seen this sometimes yourself when you see an Amazon ad on another website that that's a sponsored display ad. All right, so let's look at exactly how bidding works and what exactly is a bid. So PPC works in an auction style, right? Meaning that you tell Amazon for a specific keyword how much you're willing to pay. So for example, if I tell Amazon I want to pay a maximum of $1 for the keyword yoga mat, whoever is biddest high in for that keyword will in theory win that top spot. So if I bid $1 and someone else bids $1.50, they'll appear higher than me in the search results. But they won't actually pay $1.50, they will pay 1 cent more than my bid, which is the second highest bid. So your bid amount is what you're telling Amazon is the maximum amount that you're willing to pay. What you actually pay per click depends on what other people are bidding. All right, so let's look a little bit at how you should set up and structure your campaigns, right? So when it comes to manual campaigns, one thing that you need to remember and keep in mind is to keep your campaigns and ad sets to a maximum of 5 to 10 keywords. So one of the big mistakes that people make is they create a campaign with 20 or more keywords, right? And it's not really ideal, as it gets really difficult to manage and optimize later on. So you want to have a lot of control over your campaigns. Keeping them smaller and more concise just generally makes this a lot easier. You also want to remember to group campaigns roughly by search volume. So have your top target, highest volume keywords in their own campaigns. Because if you mix them in with all the other keywords, what will end up happening is they end up stealing all of the impressions, all of the clicks, and all of the budget. You also want to be careful to not mix up different match types in the same ad sets. So if you set up a manual campaign, you can have ad sets in there that have different match types such as phrase and exact. But be careful not to mix the different match types within the same ad set. So basically don't have a bunch of phrase match keywords in the same ad set as broad match keywords, for example. All right, so this leads me into budgets, right? Which is something that we get asked all the time. So your daily budget, and I'm sorry to say it again, but it depends. It depends on your personal situation. If you have a very limited budget for PPC, then you're going to want to cap it at something that you know you can afford. But ideally, you want to have a good budget for PPC where you can almost spend as much as possible during the launch. Obviously, this is within reason as long as the ACOS isn't ridiculously high. So generally for our launches, we give every campaign at least $50 to $70 a day in budget. And if a campaign runs out of budget, but it has a pretty good ACOS, so around 60 to 70% or less, then we increase the budget and we let it spend more. So obviously you can't run at 60 to 70% ACOS long term if your profit margin is less than that. But during the first week or so of your launch, you really need to be aggressive with your PPC to drive as many clicks and as many sales as you can. All right, so one thing you'll notice when you're setting up a campaign is the campaign bidding strategy options. And this is essentially where you tell Amazon how they can choose to adjust your bids for you. So you have 3 options. Dynamic bids down only, which basically says to Amazon, you can reduce my bids slightly when you think a sale is going to be less likely. Then you've got dynamic bids up and down, which gives Amazon the power to raise or decrease your bids. And you can also tell Amazon the maximum percentage you'll allow them to adjust these bids by. So if you click on this little drop down here, you can just adjust it and put in whatever you want. So the last option is fixed bids. And this is where you're basically saying, hey Jeff, do not touch my bids, man. Leave them exactly where they are. So Amazon won't change them. If you put fixed bids, they will always remain exactly the same. They won't go any higher, they won't go any lower. Anyway, Jeff's not the CEO anymore, so probably whoever the CEO is now. So we've experimented with these different settings, and for us personally, we found that dynamic bids down only works the best, but give each one a go for yourself, because honestly, I think it depends on your product type and your niche. But a good rule of thumb is always be experimenting with PPC. Don't just go with something because somebody told you to. And that's what I said in this video, obviously. So another thing that you'll notice when setting up a campaign is the negative keyword options. Now, this is not keywords that are bumming people out and saying negative things. This is where you can tell Amazon to not bid or spend a penny on a specific keyword or phrase. So this is really useful later down the line when you notice that certain keywords, they don't really convert very well. So you can totally block them from your campaigns so that they don't waste any money at all. Just stick them there in the negative keyword box. So one big question you might have is, how much should you actually bid on a keyword? Well, like a lot of things with FBA, it depends. If you're launching a brand new product, we always recommend that you try and place your product as high up in the search results as possible. So Amazon will give you a suggested bid, and what we generally do at launch is we at least double the suggested bid. So if the suggested bid is $1, we would bid at least $2 or even $2.50 during the launch to make sure that we're appearing at the very top of the results. So obviously as you get clicks and you can see how your keywords are converting, you need to adjust these bid amounts. But this is the strategy that we recommend at the start of a launch to drive as many sales as possible. So a week or so into your product launch is when you need to start adjusting your bids. Now this is where people start getting a little bit confused about what to do, but it's actually pretty simple. If you see a keyword that has an 80% ACOS and your target ACOS is 40%, then you need to adjust your bid roughly by half. So if you can see that you've been bidding and paying around $1 per click, reducing your bid to around 50 cents should in theory help reduce your ACOS by half, because you were at 80% ACOS when you paid $1 per click, so now you want to half that amount. So your bid adjustments are always relative to your target ACOS and how much you've been paying per click. So just make the adjustments based on whatever ACOS it is that you're aiming for. So one thing that I wanted to remind you of is that you need to look at Amazon PPC data over long enough periods of time. So what I mean by that is you can't really get many insights from small sample sizes of data. So if you set up a campaign, let it run for at least 4 or 5 days without making any adjustments. Now on the keyword level, you want to give a keyword at least 10 to 15 clicks before you draw any conclusions. Now you can check your PPC results daily, but remember that it takes around 3 days for the data to properly adjust and be 100% accurate. So I generally always look at least 7 days worth of data, but ideally you want 2 to 4 weeks worth so you can really trust what it is that you're looking at. When you're looking at specific keywords, as I said, we generally let them get to 10 to 15 clicks before we make any adjustments at all. Now if you can see that a keyword has 20 plus clicks and no sales, I'd first of all start by reducing the bid down massively. So reduce the bid down by 80 to 90%. So if it gets over 25 to 30 clicks and there's no sales at all, then I would probably turn it off completely. So if a keyword has a really high ACOS, but it does have some sales, we'd always recommend to just reduce the bids. Don't turn it off if it is making sales. Just reduce the bid amount right down to where what you're paying per click matches your ACOS targets. So one of the key factors to success with any product is getting it to rank organically for as many keywords as possible. Now ideally you want to have more organic sales than you do PPC sales. Now this is to maximize how profitable your product is and how profitable really your business is. Now PPC plays a big part in how well that you rank, right? So sales driven from PPC will help you rank higher organically. But what people don't always realize is that sometimes PPC can actually be harming your organic sales. So let's say, for example, we're bidding on red socks. We're getting a lot of clicks and we're getting some sales, but our conversion rate for that keyword is really, really low. So it can often actually hold back your organic ranks because it's not a great signal to Amazon that a lot of people searching for red socks, they click on your listing, but then not many of them buy. So you always need to keep an eye on how well a specific keyword is converting in PPC and then how that relates to your organic ranks. If you're not tracking any of your keywords for their organic ranks, well, you should be. You can use a tool such as Helium 10, which has an amazing keyword tracker, super easy to use. Check out the video description for a link with a discount code if you're not already using it. All right, so at the beginning of the video, I mentioned that there was a free 30-minute consultation call with myself and Tom. So if you do want to have a chat with us about anything, Amazon FBA, whatever it is that you like, all you need to do is a few things. Number one is subscribe to the channel, like this video, and then leave me a comment below telling us what your goals are with Amazon FBA. You know, like, do you want to get rich? Do you want to quit your job? Do you want to pay off your student loans? Whatever it is, let us know below, and we'll announce the winner of the free consultation call in a week or so, maybe 2 weeks. All right, folks, well, that's it. I might do a part 2 of this PPC video, so also let me know down below in the comments if there's any topics that I didn't really cover, or if there's anything that needs explaining a little bit further in detail, then I can put all of that into part 2 of the video. Please also check out this video that I did recently on how to launch a product on Amazon, as there's a lot of related stuff in there and I think you'll find it really useful if you enjoyed this video. I will see you in the next one.